Hello everyone and welcome to 4D Barn webinar. This particular webinar is made for listening, so don't worry if you cannot follow the screen. Just put on your headphones or turn the volume on, whatever device you are using, and join us today when we discuss today's topic. Is robotic milking an option for larger farms too? Let us introduce ourselves first. So, Jouni.
Hello everybody, my name is Jouni Pitkaranta and I'm an architect in a 4D Barn team, and I'm the guy who is mostly making those layouts and thinking how to orientate the robots and those kind of things.
And I am Virpi Kurkela. I'm a veterinarian in 4D Barn team. Well, I do a lot of things, but my focus is on cows and their welfare, and cows are really something that I love, that they make me tick, like I guess everyone in 4D Barn.
And I love cows too.
Absolutely. Few words about 4D Barn. We are based in Finland, and what we do is we coach dairy farmers, and our goal together with them is to improve dairy skills when farms are switching to robots, and design the best possible cow homes, of course. Then about today's subject.
Yes, so today we are going to talk about the thing that what to do when you have 400 cows or maybe even more, and you are thinking that maybe I should do something, maybe I should switch robotic milking. And the reason why we are talking about this is that actually during last 2 years, very many farms have come to us with these questions that the situation is so that I have this many cows and I have problems with my labor. I need to do something. How to develop it, how to decrease it, and how to do so that I wouldn't need to have so many people to work in my farm.
Yes, for many of them also the milking system is kind of running out, or if you want to expand, the current system is not big enough for them. So they need to invest in milking anyway. And that's where I guess the single box robots come as one option.
Yes, typically these milking systems, like the lifetime of them is somewhere like between 15, maybe 20 years. And especially if you are getting bigger, you are using them almost 24/7, and then you also can have problems that you are running out of time in your day, so that you actually milking almost 24/7, and you also should have time for washing and also maintain your existing milking system, and then you would like to see something more efficient.
Yeah, it's really limiting the expansion of the business, and creating extra hours for anyone's day. That's an option I would love to do for myself, for example, but it's just not possible.
Yeah, and also many things they want to kind of like update their like facilities and the ways how they working for today's like time, and robotic milking can be very fascinating part of that, so that they kind of like get their farm and their facilities to this decade.
Absolutely, take this step forward, kind of. So farmers can be very puzzled with the choices, so whether to have and change the system, I mean.
Yeah, and it's interesting that there are very many farms who have very clear like idea and opinion when they come to talk to us.
Yeah.
They have an idea that definitely I absolutely want to do with the robotic milking, and we don't even discuss about that. It's just a question how we're gonna do that.
Exactly, but still some people think that parlour is my thing. The management that parlour farm has. It's my thing. I know how to run it, and I want to do it. I want to continue doing it.
Yeah, and here the guys in the middle, kind of like have like this both sides, whether they kind of they like the robots, but they also think the advantages of the milking parlor, and they are laying somewhere in between, and those for those we would like to give this webinar, so that maybe we could give some ideas to help you to maybe decide what will be your thing.
Absolutely. But if you are a parlour person and you like the kind of management that parlour farm has, I mean, that's really okay. Parlour milking is not going anywhere, and it's totally okay to choose that kind of system if it fits your barn and it fits your management style. So there are not kind of right or wrong answers. But what you have to remember is, if and when you are changing to robots, then you have to also change your management, at least somehow. So when you change, it's not just changing or taking a new milking system to use that in your new barn, or renovated barn, but also changing a lot of things in the management.
Yeah,
so that's very important.
Yeah, and also what we see that sometimes there are also farms which hasn't been very successful with the robots, and I think one of the problems or reasons why they haven't been successful is that they have kind of just switched the milking system and haven't thought about this management enough well, and then those kind of goals what they were expecting in robotic milking, they haven't achieved those.
What do you think is the biggest issue? Well, there are many of them, I know, but when you have seen, what is the biggest thing that farms should consider that they must change, they must rethink when they are changing the milking system?
Well, one of the very practical things first is that in a parlour milking, cows leave the pen, and in robotic milking, cows won't leave the pen, and that, for example, creates some challenges in bedding and cleaning of the stalls. And the other thing, especially in farms which are based so that there will be one person 24/7 in a barn and observes calvings. This will be something different in a robot barn.
Yeah, you're right. There are hours, most of the barns, robotic barns, there are hours that nighttime there are no people there. Those are very good examples, yes.
So we kind of thought questions or thoughts what farmers, what they have in their minds when they think,
when they come to us.
Yeah, if especially if they are thinking about this robotic box milking. So when we are talking about robotic box milking, so we are talking about this like individual box robots which are like, let's say 5, 10 or whatever, depending how big is your farm, and they are spread all over the housing barns. So of course, many people they think that although you are putting the robots, you still need to have some hired people, and sometimes they feel that it's more simple, so that they just like continue this existing management, so that the cows there are milkers and there are cows who are fetching the cows, and so they think that the labor efficiency actually doesn't change that much.
Okay. I'm sure one would also think that I mean, I have this parlour, all the milking is happening in one place, so why to kind of spread it all over and have multiple milking units? That might seem like confusing, or a little bit like you start wondering why would I do that? Milking happening in so many places.
Yeah, and especially when you are getting larger, you really can't have the robots, all the milking box robots in the same places. You really need to spread them all around, and of course that creates some challenges for sure. But also
at least you have to think about it carefully. How do you design and think about the design, and and movement of cows and things like that very carefully. You cannot just throw them inside your barn.
Yeah, and of course there are some technical issues too, that where do we locate the milk rooms and those kind of things, so that the milk pipes won't get too long.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then there are also very many farms think that if they switch to robotic milking, so that they need to build a new barn. And actually, when they are when thinking this way, of course, it means that if you are need to build everything all new, it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah, that's how it sounds like. If I have to invest on everything, the new milking system, the new barn, maybe the new cows. I've heard some people saying that my cows are not suitable for robotic milking. So can I really have robots in my barn, milking robots in my barn?
Now, luckily, this thing is now like less and less important, because nowadays genetics is developing, and the other thing is that also robots have been developing, so that the robots can actually do quite amazing job with very special sizes and like the shapes of teeth.
Yeah, that's something that I'm really convinced to say, that milking robots really do their job. They milk cows and they do it well.
Yeah. And also quite often today, when farms are thinking whether it will be with the robots or it will be a parlour, they are thinking about the rotary parlour. Not so many farms are talking about this like herringbones or side-by-side parlours anymore. It's more comparing a rotary parlour and then box robots, and quite many think that if you build enough big efficient rotary parlour, it will be so labor efficient that it's like better than the box robots.
So those are the questions that people come to us, and farmers come to us, and let's look at those a little bit more, like in details. So we have some numbers, and they tell a little bit different story about the labor efficiency if we start from there.
Yeah, so for the barn, we have investigated robot barn labor efficiency from 2014. We have mostly focused on farms which I would say are average about 2 to 3 milking robots, but we also have done a survey about the larger farms which were located in Denmark and Germany and United States and Canada. And in those farms, there were nine farms, and they were averaging 650 cows. And then we looked the numbers. We have like kind of like two numbers. We are talking about how minutes per cow is being spent, and the other number is that how many liters per milk is being produced per labor hour. And this, when we are talking about this labor, we are talking about the cows, feeding calves and heifers, and those routine works what you need to do every day. And with this average 650 cows, the average spent time was 3.6 minutes, and these farms were producing average 600 liters milk per labor hour. And now, when we compare that to the numbers with the smaller herds, in those farms, the average time is 5 minutes, and per cow, and then about 400 liters milk per labor hour. So 3.6 minutes compared to 5 minutes, and 400 liters compared to 600 liters. So it tells us that actually the labor efficiency still increases when you are getting larger. But the other thing is that we also know that in smaller farms, labor efficiency can be extremely high.
Yeah. Well, it's not just the amount of time you spend taking care of your cows, and in those minutes we have to remember that there are also calves and feeding included. It's about quality of work. What kind of work you can offer for people in your barn?
Yeah, it's the way of working is different if you are comparing parlour and robot. in a parlor you do lots of like kind of like a manual work where you are. It's like a kind of like a car factory before the robots came into the car factory. So you are doing very like a simple task there. But in a robotic milking, the work is like more.
It's versatile.
Yeah, it's more or less physically demanding, and there's more like lots of like other. You do all kinds of things. You are not specialized to do just a tiny one thing.
Absolutely, and you can kind of create good working opportunities for your hired labor. Okay, so labor-wise, less labor. Bigger farms with robotic milking means less labor, and it means nicer work for the people who's working there, and that normally means that it's easier to hire people.
Yeah, it's more tempting for tempting the like labor place when you like have a robot barn, because also the working shifts can be much more kind of like easier and not so hard. So typically robot barns, when you start to work working shift in a robot barn, it starts in the morning, but we don't know any robot farms, at least the experience what we have, so that they would have they like night shift, that there would be people there 24/7 in the barn. The robot barns are meant to be so that the people go away there for a night.
Well, I already run into the next thing, because labor is one thing, but the other thing is that the automatic milking systems are expensive, or at least that's what I have been told. So parlour must be much cheaper. Parlour milking. It's just, I mean, is it so really? So that parlours are cheap? Well, they are not cheap either. Big parlours, especially. But anyway, they are cheaper than having single box robots.
Yeah, it's kind of so, because when you are buying one milking parlor, it has certain fixed price, and then you can run that like efficiently, like almost 24/7. From that point of view, yes, it's kind of like low price, but like you said, Virpi, that it's also so that sometimes they also can be very expensive. If you for example have a big rotary, and you need to build a big space for that, and also holding area and those things, it will actually increase the cost quite significantly. And the experience.
So it's not only just the milking machine itself, but it's all the space around it and facilities. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So you need to look the whole picture in this. One of the advantages in parlour milking is that you can build those housing barns kind of more light, because you don't have this milking equipments on that building. You can have the lower temperature there, and maybe that is the way to decrease the price of the housing barn. But on the other hand, we also have experiences about very low cost housing barns, which are very also not so much insulated, and they have robots there with some special arrangements. So there are also ways to make robots to these very light housing barns, but you just need to do some tricks there.
Yeah. You have to know
now we are from Finland. We know what is cold weather.
Yes, we really know what is cold weather, so no worries about that. Is that investment cost and operation cost, it has something to do with the labor, or is it more like the machinery?
Well, I think this is very this is just running those numbers. Investment cost happens only once when you do it, and that investment is meant to like pay so that it pays it back like maybe 15-20 years or something, maybe even shorter time. But operation cost comes every day, every single day, every single year, and when you really look that, investing to things which will decrease operation cost is very good way of doing business.
You're right. Well, I guess once again there are not right or wrong answers. You just have to figure your numbers, do the,
Do the math.
calculations, do the
math.
maths, do the calculations, and consider all the costs that are involved with a certain type of milking system. But you were so right when you said that having robots in your barn doesn't mean that everything has to be shiny and new. Like a robot, maybe in the beginning they are shiny and new, or you can also buy used ones these days. But anyway, so I guess the next thing to consider is, do I have to build a new barn? So if I'm getting or having this or implementing this new milking system, single box robots to my barn, do I have to rebuild or make a new fancy shining barn?
Well, sometimes the situation is so that your existing barn is so old and so bad that you need to do it. But but we have lots of experience that let's say that if your barn is maybe 10 even 20 years old, and if it has a decent cow comfort and decent dimensions, it can be a very good match with the robotic milking. And what we always suggest to our clients is that if you are putting the robots into the existing barn, it's always good still to try to improve your existing facilities. For example, improving this kind of cow comfort in freestalls, maybe making ventilation better, maybe adding cooling. So all these things get also this robotic milking work much more better. But I think that this remodeling, we say remodeling so that you put the robots into the existing barn, is very now the thing, because as everybody knows that at the moment it's 2022, during this Ukraine war, the building prices are extremely high right now. So it's also one way really to look the remodeling is that the way so that you don't need to build very expensive buildings.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone can really afford not to look at that option too. So I guess my advice would be, or our advice would be, to really always check whether you can use your old facility for milking cows too, or anyway reuse them for something. But quite often you can fit in.
Yeah, and what we see that in these situations when we are remodeling the robots into the existing barns, we really can, the price is really something different than building the new one. But there are also ways that which I think are very good combination, that you kind of like expand your existing barn a little bit, maybe building a new robot area and specialist area in the end of this existing housing barn, and with that way you can create very nice and almost as like new functionalities in existing robot barns. And this might also be the way how you can do the building time so that it doesn't disturb your existing milking like times and ways that much.
Okay, I think we should have a whole new webinar about talk together more about this remodeling and how to do that. But I guess you can kind of sum up that quite, or in many cases you can use your old barn also with robots, and quite often it's very good idea to combine it with small expansion also. Yeah.
Nice. Exactly, that is exactly so.
Yeah. Okay, then one thing that may be a small thing, but also prices of feed is increasing, and there are people who are saying that feeding cows with robotic milking, so you have PMR, so partial mix ratio, and then you have pellets from the robot, and it's very expensive way of feeding cows.
Yeah, that is as we know that there's PMR, partial mixed ration, and then with the robot, and then there's a TMR, which is total mixed ration with the parlour milking. And yes, there is maybe some difference, and there's lots of discussion that actually how much do I need this very expensive pellets. So Virpi, in Finland, can you tell about the experience what we have here?
Yes, there have been studies all over the world about that, and guided traffic and free flow and things like that, and how much pellets you need. But if we look at the farms here, in average, we use about 10%. The amount of pellets is about 10% of the amount of milk. So it means that if your cow is milking 45 kilos a day, then you give her 4.5 kilograms of pellets in a day. So that's not very much. And that happens, we really see that happening in a farms with very high production, close to 50 kilos. So yes, it is possible to use that 10%, and that's kind of the good, my experience. I'm a veterinarian, so my experience of feeding is not that great. That's kind of rule of thumb, 10%, and that should be enough. So you can.
Yeah, and the results from the farms with this amount of pellets, I think it's quite encouraging. So that it really seems to be so that when your roughage or the PMR is good, then this combination seems to work pretty well. So lots of milk and cows are visiting robots voluntarily.
Yes. Okay. Now you are making investment. You are remodeling your barn. You are maybe building a new barn. You are investing a new milking system. One thing you really should take into consideration is the consumers' expectations and demands, more like. And I guess the question is: are the cows happier in a robot barn, or how do they do in a robot barn? Does it look good to the public how we have cows in a robot barn? And I've been really thinking about that. And to me, a robot barn is like very relaxed environment. If it's well managed and well designed, then it's really relaxed environment for the cows. And the thing is that a cow normally during the whole lactation has only few contacts with human, and that's a bit sad, but it's true. Cows don't need us. It's a bit sad to say that, but that's how it is. Cows like other cows, and cows like routines. So what we human beings, what do we do there with people in the barn? We kind of go there among the cows. We give them what they need, kind of resources they need. They need cleaning their stalls, and they need fresh feed, and they need bedding, and they need water, and of course everything has to flow there. We have to take the manure away and things like that. But when you don't do those things, and then you step out from the pen and let the cows be there, and they have a freedom of choice. They can eat, they can go to milking, they can lie in the stalls. And that's something in quite many barns too. They have a choice to go outside or come back in. I mean, that's the kind of system that it's very easy for also outsiders who are not inside this industry to see that it works really well for the cows.
And it's funny that when we talk with the farmers, quite often they say that as soon people go away from the barn, over the barn, then the things just like run smoothly. And maybe this is something, as you Virpi said, that they are not so keen about this humans being hassling. It's their world. It's cows' world.
It's their world.
And they like to be there on their own. And the other thing about this calmness of the cows, because we in 4D barn, what we do, we visit in robot barns during morning duties when we are measuring labor times and trying to find some like bottlenecks in the existing facilities. We have done those a lot during this 6 years. And it's always so like fun that when you go there and you walk behind the farmer during the morning, you do this when, for example, the farmer is fetching the cows. The cows don't care about us. In good farms. And I think it shows that the cows are really kind of relaxed and they are not afraid. And it's a very good sign so that the things are working in the right way.
Exactly, you're right. People do their things and then they just step out and let the cows do their things. I think so. That's a nice message too. It's nice to see a nice message to send outside also.
Exactly.
Okay, we've been talking now, not quite, but almost half an hour. Thank you for listening to us. I hope you start to wonder what all that we talked about, what does it mean to my barn and my farm and my business?
I think we can, we in 4D Barn, we can help you. And the best way to help you is that if you contact us, we can set up a free web meeting. We can also, depending where we are traveling, we can also maybe visit in your farm and without any commitment from your side. And like I said, the best way is that just contact us to this, go to our website, www.4dbarn.com, or then info@4dbarn.com website. And we are very happy that you were listening to us. And whether you were sitting in the tractor making silage, or whether you were watching this from the screen or whatever, but like I said, we are here and we would be very glad to hear from you.
Absolutely. We can show you how to move on, so please contact us. And thank you for listening. This was fun. Thank you, Jouni.
Thank you, Virpi.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye. Moi moi in Finnish.